Day 1286 of lockdown. I'm now resorting to looking at pictures of trees and books to remember what they look like. It's been a funny old year, hasn't it? Welcome back to the Geek and Hermit. Today I wanted to do a quick review of Final Fantasy XIII-2. Now this one takes place 3 years after the end of Final Fantasy XIII. So of course everything Cocoon gets saved at the end of that, blah de blah, everyone happy. This time we take on the role of Serah, who is Lightning's sister, and spent the entire of 13 trapped in crystal until the very end. And this game takes a lot on board of the criticisms of what 13 got. So straight away the plot is a lot more freeform. It's a time-hopping adventure, basically. At the very beginning, Serah remembers what really happened at the end of 13, but everyone else seems to remember a different version of events. And then you meet a bowl? Yeah, a bowl comes from the future. A boy called Noel comes from the future, 700 AF. The AF means apparently after the fall, so it just means after the fall of Cocoon, which happened at the end of 13. So yeah, he comes from 700 years in the future, sent by lightning to basically try and fix the timeline. So off you go. Basically, after the first zone, you go and you have these little time gates that you jump through. And it's actually pretty good. I actually do quite like it. It seems a bit more light-hearted at first. And even the music is a lot more upbeat than 13, because 13 was a bit glum for the most part, wasn't it, if you played it. So this one's a lot more light-hearted and airy. And I actually like that. I like some of the music as well. It's just happy. And I do like a lot of the freeform, because basically after the first area or two, it then opens up a lot, because you have these time gates. It's kind of like a weird little grid system, and in each area there'll be 2 or 3 different gates, and depending on what artifacts you find in what order, you can open up certain gates and go in different paths completely than someone else that's playing the game. Of course eventually you can open up everything, so it's irrelevant, but it means you can play the game in any kind of order you want. Also, there's the odd downside where you can accidentally go into areas that kick your ass straight away, but that's cool. I quite like that. And I like how it all interlinks, that you'll be jumping around. You'll be like 10 AF and then you'll be in 300 AF in a certain area. In even certain areas you visit same period in different times, like you'll visit this mountainous area 10 years after the fall of Cocoon, then 300 years in the future, then go back to 100 years. And as you change different events in one, it can then sometimes have an impact on the other. And it's cool to do that, to keep jumping back and forth through time, messing about trying to fix things. And yeah, I actually really do like that part of it. It does seem a bit jarring plot-wise, because it's hard to have a proper narrative that runs straight through. With it not being linear and being a bit more open, it can feel a bit more slapdash in parts. But the general theme of it, you're being hunted this time by a guy called Caius Ballard, who, as villains go, is actually one of my favourites, because it's not just usual pantomime, oh, I want to destroy the world or rule it, blah 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 blah. Basically, he's kind of an immortal that's been charged with protecting a girl called Yule, and all through the years and the ages, there's always a series called Yule that always seems to be about 13, 14 or 15, and has visions of the future, basically, and when she has so many visions, she ends up dying, and then is reborn again, exactly the same appearance, and it's called Yule again. And Caius' job is to protect her throughout the ages, and that's it, basically. But of course you're jumping through time, changing time, which in turn then causes Yule to have even more visions and die sooner and die repeatedly. So it's like a weird contrast to the game. It's light-hearted on one part, but basically as you're trying to fix time, you keep killing a child over and over and over again. So as villains go, I actually completely understand his motivations. His idea, basically, he just wants to obviously fight him throughout the game at different points where he tries to stop you, but his whole point is he wants to stop the flow of time, to stop Yule from getting visions and from dying repeatedly, because he's basically depressed and heartbroken that it keeps happening over and over and over again. Man, I completely sympathise with that, and it's pretty cool. What I'll do, I'll have to explain the ending at the very end. I will say it gets kind of dark, so I'll give you a heads up just before I talk about the ending, but I'll do that at the very end of this video. DLC is actually included in this, because I'm playing on the Steam version of the game. It's just the DLC doesn't unlock until you've actually finished the game. So at first when you load it up, saying, oh, where the hell is it? Basically finish the game once and it unlocks. But to be honest, it's kind of crap anyway, so I won't worry about it. You've got a bit of DLC about snow. Basically, it's just a load of fights in the Colosseum. And you've also got Zaz, who, if you remember the guy with the kid in the previous one, was flying a ship, got lost in time somehow, and is now stuck in a casino, and you have to play poker, literally, for money, to buy back your son from some timeless guy. Yeah, they're both crap. I didn't like them at all. I just wasn't that keen on them, to be honest. Actual combat-wise, this time, it seems like you just mash X or A all the time, and it automatically does it because it's really fast. So at first you will just be doing that, it'll seem really basic, but as you go on, it does get more and more in depth, and you do need proper strategy for some bosses because they'll kick your ass if you haven't got the right setup. And it retains the same system from the previous game, the Commando, Ravager and Sentinel setup. Also this time though, they do change it, is party members wise, you only have Noel and Serah, that's it. But they do flip it on its head a little bit by making it like Pokemon, where you can basically capture any monster you see, you can capture and you can end up fighting with you as a party member. And I absolutely love that system, I think it's fantastic. This way you don't so much as catch them, you just kill them repeatedly until they turn into a crystal and then they can join you. But it means it's fun kind of hunting down different monsters and then trying to get them to join your team. And obviously you can then level up those monsters in certain ways to power them up. And it's cool because I had a Commando with me and a Ravager and a healer one. And what you do is like swap your team around and different things. And that's actually quite cool. And I love the fact I could have a Behemoth with me and just kick ass with it. I did like that system, it's good fun. And I do like the way the leveling system now on Noel and Serah is a lot more freeform. You can level up whatever you want, as much as you want. And I think that's cool. But yeah, I'm not sure what else to talk about really. I don't want to talk about the engine just yet. But I do like the fact you jump through time. You will see as well, you collect fragments all the way through the game. It's out of 160. You basically just get experience and whatnot. And when you've cleared it for the first time, you'll get this thing called a paradox scope, which lets you do different events, and you actually can get 6 different endings depending on how it works. They're just paradox, they're daft endings really. Basically, if you kill a giant in a certain time, it'll cause a war to happen, and then it jumps forward to the end of the game where Noel and whatnot are fighting in the future, and there's just hundreds of giants in the world destroying it, or one where a giant flan takes over. They're really silly endings, but it's really kind of funny. If you change this in the timeline, it'll wreck the future and this will happen, and I did like that. But yeah, the whole gist is to basically try and collect 160 fragments after you've cleared it to unlock the full ending. But to be honest, I've done it before and it's not really worth the effort. Right, I'm going to have to talk about the ending now because I can't keep avoiding it. So if you need to leave so you don't hear the ending, please do. Right, one and done. Now, okay, right, obviously the game I've said it's kind of airy and light all the way through, but it's weird, it's got one of the darkest plots and one of the darkest endings I've seen in an RPG in a long time. Because all the way through the game it kind of hints at why Serah can see different futures when other people can't, and it kind of hints she might actually be serious as well, and you can see where this is going. So of course at the end of the game, yay, you saved him, you beat Caius and you saved the world and everything, you're all flying away. And of course because the future's changed, Serah then gets yet another vision and then dies. And that's the ending. And also because Noel was tricked at the end, you accidentally unleash the forces of chaos into the real world and it destroys the world, basically. And that's how the game ends. It's just really dark. It's a very good gut punch of an ending. I remember when it first came out on the PlayStation, I played it and I had to wait a year or two for the third part to come out. Because it kind of hints, really, as you go along, that you'll get a different ending if you get the whole 160 fragments, 100% the game, basically. So I did this, thinking it'd be fantastic and it'd explain it and she wouldn't actually be dead at the end. But no matter what you do, she's actually dead. The only thing the 160 fragments do is you get a little bit more waffle, but the main thing is lightning all the way through has been trapped in some timeless zone called Valhalla and fighting Caius forever and ever and ever, and that's how the game opens up. It turns out lightning actually lost to him ages ago and she's been trapped in crystal for the entire time. And what happens at the end of when you've got the 100% ending is it shows lightning waking up 700 years in the future where the world is destroyed and Noel's pretty much the last one surviving. And that's how it ends, just lightning coming back out of Crystal and being left in the world that's dead. And that's it. So it's really quite dark, and I actually do quite like it for that. But yeah, I actually really do enjoy this game. I'm not sure, some people probably didn't like the lighter tone or the fact you play Serah not as lightning. To be fair, I would have preferred to play as lightning, but it wouldn't have worked the concept of the story, obviously being serious and whatnot, because lightning isn't. I just think it's a really good game. There are some outfits that you can change in the game, and in the past there used to be like a little shop that you could buy the different outfits from both. I couldn't actually seem to find it, so I'm not sure it's been deactivated or I'm just being thick. But yeah, they're not really that much cop. Yeah, the DLC doesn't unlock until you complete the game at least once. So when you load it up and think, oh, where is it? It's basically just play it once, all unlocks, but it's just crap anyway, so don't worry about it. And also, last thing I have to say, I played the Steam version of it, which if you read the forums and everything on the Steam shop, they all go on about how the game's completely broken, you can only play it for like an hour and then it crashes. I've put 60 hours into it so far and I've had no crashes whatsoever. So I think people are probably exaggerating a little bit. Okay, there's a part where the rain effects really look shit, but you can cope with that, it's fine. But that's it really, because people go on about it crashes every 5 minutes, it corrupts your saves. I didn't have any problems. I'm not sure if it's just my rig, or apparently if you turn off the cloud saves on it, it makes it a lot more stable and doesn't corrupt your saves. But as I said, I had no problems whatsoever. And I think it's community patches anyway, so if you need to get it on Steam, it's absolutely no problem. So anyway, hopefully this has been educational. I shall see you next time, guys. Let me know what you think. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Alright, that's a promise. Now it's time for all of you to go home.
It was then that I remembered Serah had been a teacher back in New Bodom, and the kids